In the aftermath of a disaster on a continent broken apart, you have to ally with one neighbor and fight the other one in Ettin, 2 against the world. Hello and welcome to Tantrum House Studio Awesome. I'm Ryan, and today I would like to talk to you about Ettin, 2 Against the World. It's a card game by Ken Shannon for 2 to 8 players, and it's published by WizKids. Now, in Ettin, you're going to take on the role of one of 8 unique fantasy races. These might be orcs, or dwarves, or giants, or even there's a race of humans and undead. And then you're going to ally with one neighbor and fight against another. At the beginning of the game, you will draw a nation mat that represents your particular nation and all of the cards that go along with that nation. Now on your cards, you'll see several things you'll need to take note of. In the upper left, you'll see the battle power of the card, followed underneath it by the symbol for your faction, so you don't have the wrong faction in there. Then the victory points are in a little wreath under that. And then on the opposite side of the card, on the right, you may have adventure power. If your card does not have adventure power, it cannot attempt the adventure, even if you win the adventure battle. At the bottom of the card, you'll see a Roman numeral. This indicates what age that card belongs to, its relative power, and when it'll probably come out in the game. In the white box, you'll see the cost of the card. This is how much you have to pay if you want to put it into your war camp and eventually play it during the battles phase. And then in the coin, you will see how much that card will give you if you sell it. Once you have all of your cards, you're going to place them on the nation deck spot of your nation mat with all the Act 3 cards shuffled on the bottom, all the Act 2 cards on top of that, and all the Act 1 cards at the very top. And you're going to kind of work down through the deck as you play the game. You're going to face off your nation mat against your designated enemy, and you're going to place them so that you flip them to the side where the arrow is pointing to the center board in the middle of the play area. Next to the arrow is a little number that determines the initiative for the very first age of the game. So whoever has the highest number, they get the initiative token, and they get to choose to either keep it for themselves or give it to their opponent. Now, before you actually play the first age, you will draw 5 gold, and this will increase every age. You do get to draw gold at the very beginning, 5 at the first age, 10 at the second age, and 15 at the third age. Then each pair of enemies will draw an adventure card and place it between them, and then you're ready to begin. So during each age, you're going to alternate. There's 3 different phases of drafting cards, and they alternate back and forth between skirmish phases and peacetime phases. In the skirmish phase, you draw 4 cards from that age's mercenary deck, and you place them between you and your enemy, and then whoever has initiative gets to draw the first card, and then they have to draw the last card. During a peacetime phase, you draw 2 cards off of your nation deck, and your ally also draws 2 cards off of his nation deck, and then you just decide who's going to get which 2 cards. After you've drafted the cards, you have to decide whether you're going to sell them for money or use money to buy them and put them in your war camp. Then you're ready to go to war. The war phase is also separated out into 5 sub-phases that you'll play through in order, beginning with the deploy phase. During the deploy phase, you will play your cards face down in front of you in the different locations of your nation mat or on the adventure card to attempt that battle. Beginning with the player who has initiative, they will lay 1 card, and then from there, you'll each take turns laying 2 cards. So it'll be 1 card, 2 cards, back to me, 2 cards, back to my opponent, 2 cards, and so on until we're all out of cards. Then during the battle phase, will compare the battle strength at each specific location and tally up how much battle power we have and see who won that specific battle. So there's actually 4 different battles, and whoever wins the most will win the war. During the spoils phase, whoever won the battle gets that age's number in spoils of the enemy's cards that he played. So if he had 3 cards out at that location and it was age 1, I could draw only 1 card, but if it was age 2, I could draw 2 of them. If he doesn't have any cards out, but I did win the battle there, I can draw 1 card off of his nation deck and put it straight into my retire pile. Part of the spoils phase is actually going on the adventure. Whoever won the adventure battle gets to see if he has any adventure power. If he does, he can attempt the adventure, and his enemy will roll a die, and you'll compare the die value plus the value of the card to your adventure power. If your adventure power is greater, you get that adventure card's benefit, and if it's lower, you actually lose a card and you don't get to keep the victory points that you would have otherwise gotten during the retire phase. The retire phase is next. All of your troop units, but not your defense units, go into your retire pile, and those will actually be points for you at the end of the game. Then, any defense units you still have out, they will get produce abilities if they have a produce ability of their own, or if they're on a location with a produce ability, that location gets to produce either gold or move cards around or something else beneficial like that. Ultimately, whoever won the most battles will win the war, and they will get the associated victory token for that age. The loser gets to put the top card of his nation deck into his war camp and then choose initiative for the next age. After you've played 3 ages, you'll tally all of your points. Everything on your nation mat except your nation deck will be worth points. So both your war camp, your retire pile, any defenses you have out, and all of your gold, which is only worth 1 for every 2 gold, will be worth points. And then you'll add up your score and add it to your allies' score, and whichever pair of allies has the highest score will actually win the game. There were a lot of things I found really interesting in the game. I liked the idea that you were 2 people fighting probably 2 separate different teams and then pooling up your score at the end of the game. I liked that all of the nations had asymmetrical abilities and different focuses for them. Like some were more expensive to use, but they were more powerful. Some didn't really focus on defenses at all, were all about attacking or scouting. And I liked that asymmetry to the game. I did find that the rules for playing with odd players, while totally doable, is very difficult. So whoever is playing that odd man out, having to balance both the individual nation they have and the mercenary deck that they're playing with, they really have to know the game well. Overall, I really liked that the game had a very straightforward mechanic that was then adjusted by the asymmetrical nation powers and the abilities on your cards, because you had to think strategically about, what did he draft? How am I going to counter that? What cards do I not necessarily want, but I want to hate draft so that he doesn't get them? And maybe I'm not going to place a lot of units at this location, but I'll place somebody with Terrify to send his card back into his retire pile. I really enjoyed that strategy. I also liked that there was different types of units. I don't think I mentioned this before, but there's troops and defenses and then protected defenses. And I liked that with the protected defenses, if they didn't have the right symbols, they couldn't actually attack me. But if I had a greater battle power, I could still defeat him. Overall, I really enjoyed this game. I've played it a lot. I played it a lot at Tantrum Con, and I look forward to playing it again. Tantrum House gives this game 2 thumbs up. I don't know how to end this video.